And joining us now is Maayan Snapir. Her grandmother, Yochvad Lipschitz, was one of the first hostages released by Hamas after over 2 weeks in captivity. Her grandfather, Oded, is still being held in Gaza. Maayan, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So first of all, how is your grandmother? How is she doing?
It depends on what aspect. Physically, she's much better. At the beginning, she had an interview, so everybody saw she wasn't that great. But right now, she looks much better, and she's, family is all around her and taking care of her. But she's waiting for my grandfather, so it's a tough situation.
And have you heard anything, any update about your grandfather, about his condition in captivity? I mean, anything at all?
What we know up until now is up until 2 or 3 days ago, we didn't know anything. We just know he was hurt before he was kidnapped, but we didn't really know what happened. But one of the women that was released a few days ago, she saw him. She was with him in the same room in captivity, but at some point he was taken away. So we still don't know exactly what's going on, but this is the first piece of information that we have about him in Gaza. We got a confirmation that he's there.
So this is encouraging that you know that he's alive. And so I understand that they were separated. Your grandparents, they weren't held together.
Yes. At the morning when they were kidnapped, they were, there was a siren. They were still sleeping. It was early in the morning. At some point, when the terrorists came in, my grandfather held the, how do you call it? He held the door to make sure it's not going to open. But they shot him in his hand from the outside. So we knew he was hurt, and at that point they took him outside and they hurt him, and my grandma was taken separately. So the only thing she knew to tell us when she came back was that he was shot, he's hurt, and she didn't hear anything from him anymore, and she was taken away.
And, can you share with us what it's been like as a family, for your family, for yourself, to readjust? I mean, many experts are saying that, the hostages and the families, many who are forever broken now, will need time to try to return to a sense of safety and to somewhat of a normal life. I mean, how has that been for your family? Can you maybe share with us your experience?
Yeah, I think we experience something that many families begin to experience right now. Which is one person coming back from captivity, but the other one is still there. So the situation is not over for us as well. It takes time. Even at the beginning, when my grandmother was back, it wasn't all of a sudden, going back to normal. It takes time. It's a process. It's not in one day. But I think that the phrase, many people use it nowadays, going back to normal, I don't think it's even something that's going to happen. I mean, something has to change, because obviously what wasn't that great if it got us to this situation right now. So something needs to change in both sides, I think.
Absolutely. And has your grandmother shared with you about her time in captivity, shared what the conditions were like? Has she talked at all about her experiences?
Yes, she did. I think that she even spoke in the interview, less than 24 hours from the time that she was released. She was very, she really wanted to talk about it from the get-go. So yes, she told us that outside it was terrible and everything that happened, everybody knows. But ever since they got to the tunnels down underground, the feeling that we got is that they just want to keep them alive. So they give them the basic needs that they need in order to keep them alive. And this is the information that we got from her as well. Very basic food, but pretty much not doing much underground. Not an easy situation to hear.
Certainly, so giving them just the bare minimum. And does she feel that she's able to talk freely? I mean, knowing that her husband is in fact still being held there by Hamas.
Yeah. I want to keep her privacy private, so I'm not going to go into much details more than that. But as a whole, of course, she was fearful that maybe he's not even alive, or maybe he is, maybe he isn't. We didn't know exactly what's going on. So the sign that we got a few days ago was a big change in the feelings of everyone, for her as well, because she's kind of waiting for somebody that she doesn't know if she's supposed to wait for. It's not an easy situation to be in. I'm sure you can understand as much as possible, of course, just from hearing.
I can't possibly imagine this difficult time that you and other families are going through, but now the hope is that your grandfather will be released, and I understand that you're there now with the other families of the hostages on a near daily basis. I imagine it's maybe bittersweet to see the hostages released, but also knowing that your grandfather is not among them.
I wouldn't say bittersweet, because I really am so happy for everyone that, every person that comes out is just a blessing for everyone. I said it in an interview a few days ago that it's the tough part is the feeling that we speak about people as numbers, and that we think about, we're going to release X amount of people for X amount of people. It's a conversation that is, it's not normal to speak like that. It's not something that you want to experience ever. And so I'm really happy that people are coming out, and the opposite, it gives hope, because if there was no movement, then everything feels stuck. So at least now we feel like people are coming out. We see people that come out and, they're not healthy and happy, but they can walk on their own feet. They're being hugged by their families. It's an encouraging situation for me, very hopeful to see that.
Hopeful for all of us as well. Maayan Snapir, thank you for sharing your experiences with us, and we hope that your grandfather and the rest of the hostages will be released soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much.